If you're on Eternia and you get attacked by a technologically superior force, what do? Well, of course, you're going to hit them with a big wooden stick. This is a review of Masters of the Universe Forge of Destiny #2 from Dark Horse Comics. This is a 4-issue miniseries that's out right now. You can get this at your local comic shops or online on Comixology. And it's written by Tim Seeley with art by Ed Nunez. All right, let's start with this gorgeous cover. And so we have Adam and He-Man, very well rendered up front. They look great. They look a little despondent because this is set early on in He-Man's career, and Adam is kind of coming to grips with the personal toll that being He-Man is having on his life. And then in the background, looking all awesome, is my favorite character of all time in Masters of the Universe, Sy-Klone. And I believe this is the first time in the 40-year history of the franchise we've seen Sy-Klone on the cover of an American comic, or at least something that looks like Sy-Klone. He may not be completely through his transformation to become Sy-Klone. This is his origin story, but with the radar on his chest and the blue skin, we definitely know who this character is, and he looks awesome. As I said in my previous review, the rendering of the characters and the vehicles by Eddie Nunez is spot on and looks great. So King Randor's peace mission to Anwar gets interrupted when the warriors of the technologically advanced nation attack his envoy, and we'll notice that some of the vehicles resemble vehicles that are very common in the line, like this looks like a villainous Roton that we oftentimes see associated with Skeletor and his minions. The Gar have been manipulated by Evelyn and Skeletor to attack Randor and his envoy, and Evelyn and Skeletor are kind of at odds about what to do about the island nation of Gar, and Skeletor kind of sends Evelyn away and has his own ideas, but Evelyn is kind of plotting behind his back. The subplot of the friction between Adam and Teela, created by him lying to her to cover up his activities as He-Man, continues in here, and it's pretty solid. And the origin of Sy-Klone does become a subplot, so there's not a whole lot of it in here, but what we get is good. And it does have an ending that sets up what appears to be a whole lot of Sy-Klone in the next issue, which is kind of weird because Sy-Klone doesn't even appear on the cover of issue 3, though I will say this looks like an amazing cover. And Sy-Klone will appear on the cover of the final issue. So overall, I think the story is solid. I think the artwork is solid. Now let's get around to my one critique of this issue. And that is that the storytelling on the fight scenes could be better. So here's our establishing shot for the fight scene at the beginning. And so we have King Randor speaking to some people. Now, I really can't tell where Prince Adam is, right? We see him down here, but there's no background. I can't tell where he's at in relationship to anyone else. And if you look really, really closely, you may be able to make out that this character is wearing the same outfit as Prince Adam. But he also looks like he has horns on his head, so I'm not sure if that's Prince Adam or not, but it would be very, very difficult for us to tell that while reading this normally. And this gets disorienting because suddenly Teela is tackling Adam as this guy is flying his sky sled over the water. And I'm not quite sure what happened because the angle he's flying at doesn't look like it would go anywhere near Prince Adam. I'm not sure what the zack, zack, zack thing is there, the sound effect. Now, presumably, if that was Adam on the edge, they are on the edge of a dock, but I can't tell that from this panel, which is just weird. And then below here, we have Man-at-Arms recognizing that they are under attack. The soldiers are facing out. They're ready to face the enemy. But then suddenly the Gar warriors are right in the middle of the soldiers, and I'm not sure how that happened. They don't have teleportation abilities that I know of, but that's the only thing that this looks like. I mean, this guy just looks completely surprised. There's this Gar warrior behind him, and there's nothing in the body language of the Gar to indicate that they're rushing the position of these soldiers. And so in this page, we established that Tila is unarmed, and then we have this little panel where there's some kind of Kirby crackle, there's some kind of energy thing, and a wooden stick appears, and she hits the sky sled that's attacking her with the wooden stick. And I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Is that just the impact of her hitting a sky sled with a stick, or is that some kind of kinetic explosion? Because this may be, even though it looks like a wooden stick, maybe it's some kind of high-tech weapon that explodes when you hit something. I don't know. And even weirder, remember that Roton thing that they were attacking with? Well, King Randor hits one of its rotors with that, what looks like a wooden stick. It may be gold, but it looks like it's brown in the way it's printed here. And that rotor breaks. I mean, he's just hitting it with a stick, and the darn thing breaks. And then, you know, it careens out of control and is destroyed, which is like a hell of a thing to do with a stick. I do admire that Tim Seeley at least tried to script a blow-by-blow, panel-by-panel choreographed fight scene, which is becoming rarer and rarer in modern comics. But unfortunately, like so many modern comics, the visuals just don't really work as well as probably what was envisioned, whether that's because of script or because of how the artist drew the script. I'm not sure. You know, this could have been solved through, you know, just some artistic touch-ups or through narration. I mean, we already established that Tila is writing, I can't remember if it's a report or a journal on this journey, but we already have her internal monologue in these captions at the beginning. So all they had to do was continue that through the fight scene where she's describing what's going on, and that probably would have solved that problem. And I know that in modern comics, the narration saying what's happening in the panel is considered bad storytelling. But to me, bad storytelling is if I look at the artwork that you're relying on portraying what's happening and it's not cutting it and you're not doing anything to compensate for that. Now, that being said, this is a super common issue that happens in a ton of modern comics, and it doesn't really bother me that much. Even with that very minor flaw, this is still better than probably 80% of the Masters of the Universe comics that have been put out in the last 40 years, and is still highly recommended. And I suspect they'll probably get the kinks out as the miniseries continues. We've got an incredibly talented writer who knows the source material and an artist who can render it like there's no tomorrow. And so if they can just get the little kinks out in the storytelling, this is going to be very, very good. And I definitely look forward to seeing Sy-Klone go at it with He-Man in future issues. A couple quick notes for fans of the franchise. Lady Slither did go up for pre-order. She sold out probably within a couple hours and then shipped a couple days after that. So they clearly already had her in the warehouse when she went up for pre-order, and they just didn't make enough of her for the demand. And hopefully that is not something that we're going to have to deal with next year, because obviously the regular Origins that we've been collecting with the figures from the vintage line are going to be Mattel Creations exclusives. We're going to be ordering them online, and we're going to have heavy hitters like Sy-Klone and Extendar coming next year. And I'm hoping that there's going to be enough that they're not going to sell out within an hour or two. Speaking of pre-orders, they are up right now for the next wave. This is technically toys for next year, but they're going to be shipping in November, or at least that's what it says. And so you can pre-order those. Clearly, they're probably also in a warehouse somewhere, and so there's going to be limited quantities, so sellouts are possible. So it's a good idea, if you're interested in any of the upcoming figures, to go ahead and get your pre-orders in now. Also, the first online clip and plot synopsis for Masters of the Universe Revolution, which is coming to Netflix next year, has been released, and I've covered that in a separate video, so you might want to check that out. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe for more videos. And until next time, good journey.